Jonathan Marshall does a great job covering college hoops, NBA hoops out in Dallas, and we'll get his thoughts on LeBron. Also, just a ridiculous comeback by Texas A&M, but Jonathan's kind enough to join us for a couple moments on a Tuesday. What's going on, pal?
Q, I can't complain. I'm just living the dream down here, man, in Texas. How are you?
I'm doing well. You know who's not living the dream? It seems like LeBron's getting older and crankier. And I was saying this before during the opening monologue. I mean, you've got a situation now where this is still a team that won 50 games. They're 50-20. Toronto's starting to breathe down their back a little bit, but I think he's hurting his legacy. I think he's tarnishing his legacy. I don't care what he does on social media. I just think he's mentally checked out at the worst time, and maybe he's regretting making the move back to Cleveland, and maybe he's thinking I should have stayed in Miami.
I mean, I would have to agree. I mean, but the thing is, I mean, he wants to be the main guy, right? I mean, that's the thing in Miami. He was never going to be that guy. I mean, that's Miami. That's Wade County. That's the Wade's franchise. That's D Wade's area right there. And so LeBron was never going to take the place of D Wade no matter what. Now you go to Cleveland, you make a power play, you say, I want Kevin Love, let's trade Andrew Wiggins, which I think was a foolish move by the part of Cleveland and LeBron James for thinking adding a Kevin Love and giving away a top-notch young prospect and the likes of Andrew Wiggins would even benefit that franchise. So that was number one. Number two, I mean, just the fact that every week with this organization, there's something. There's LeBron's telling his teammates no more parties in L.A. Tyronn Lue was making excuses about why his team isn't performing. And last night with the whole Twitter question and how he fumbled through the second, it all starts with him. This is the roster that he wanted. I mean, he wanted Kevin Love, and he got it. He wanted Tyronn Lue. He got it. So what's your excuse now? There's no reason to be checking out now. This is what you wanted, right, LeBron? You left Miami to go to Cleveland. You set the roster up. You got David Blattfire. I don't care what he says. You got David Blattfire. You got your guy Lou. Now what's the issue now? So I'm not – all this nonsense coming out of Cleveland, it's foolish to me. And right now I really don't buy them as the championship contender. I just can't buy it right now.
No, listen, I wholeheartedly agree with you. I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think what he's doing is I think anything less than an NBA Finals appearance, and if it's a competitive series, whether it's the Spurs or Golden State, this season's been a mitigated disaster because you get a head coach fired, had a good track record in Europe. They were playing good basketball. They were still trying to get people involved in the offense, get a good flow, good to get tempo. You know there's always going to be some bumps in the road. They had a finals appearance last year where God knows what happens if Love and Irving are not hurt in that series against Golden State. Maybe they do have an opportunity to win it. And you're looking pretty good right now, and you're sitting pretty in the Eastern Conference, and you have this nonsense. I mean, first of all, the social media question was an asinine question by the reporter. He was trying to goat LeBron, and you can tell it got under his skin, and he got rattled. And you mentioned that they don't have the makeup of a championship team. I said this. When you look at the Spurs' loss last night, and they melted, the Hornets had a great comeback, a great win for that franchise, that young franchise. You know for a fact, today, Popovich is like, you know what, we're just going to burn that videotape, burn that film, and you watch. San Antonio is probably going to win 5, 6, 7 in a row because they're mentally strong. If that happens to Cleveland, that game last night, I don't see them mentally overcoming that. I think right now they are a weak-minded team.
I mean, when you look at it, I mean, LeBron has played in the playoff series. He has won championships. But look at Kevin Love. What has he ever done in the postseason? Kyrie Irving. What has he ever done in the postseason by himself? I mean, look across his roster. J.R. Smith, Iman Shumpert, they're cast-offs from the Knicks. So, I mean, these guys, I mean, pound for pound, at top to bottom, this roster isn't filled with guys who, like you said, are mentally strong and that are proven winners. You're looking at LeBron, he's looking around, and I think he's realizing that. He's realizing if I'm going against a San Antonio Spurs team, a team with a guy like Greg Popovich and proven winners and mentally tough guys like Kawhi Leonard and Tim Duncan and Ginobili, can I go to war with the guys that I have, with the likes of JR and Kyrie and Kevin Love, looking at a team such as Golden State with the likes of Draymond Green and Steph Curry and Andre Iguodala, Sean Livingston? Can I go against those types of players with the players that I have? I think LeBron is finally realizing that, but he has nobody to blame but himself.
Yeah,
nobody blames himself.
I agree. Golden State 63-7, rare loss the other night. We've talked about this. I can care less if they get the Bulls record. If they go on and win another championship. See, here's the problem though, and I say this: the younger guys out there, and I'm excluding yourself, but the younger guys out there that watch the NBA, cover the NBA, like yourself. some of them, they look at Golden State and right away they say, man, this is the greatest team. It's not, because the game is so different. Are they one of the great teams over the last 10 to 15 years? Yeah, I can certainly make that argument, because this is a team that they've got guys that can shoot the lights out. But I'm not going to start to stick them with teams, even in the 70s, like those Lakers teams, or the Celtics teams that started to creep into the early 80s, or those Knicks teams, or those Bull teams in the 90s. It's a different animal. But I look at the NBA as a whole. Forget about it being a watered-down product. There's 4 teams: Golden State, San Antonio, Oklahoma, and then Cleveland. That's it. I mean, it's just where's the talent gone in the NBA?
I mean, I think the talent's out there, but I think what's happening is these franchises are doing a horrible job of developing the talent. You look at San Antonio, Kawhi Leonard. He's a guy they traded for on draft night, but his development has been amazing. Look at Klay Thompson. He's developed into what many consider to be a one-way guy, into a guy who can actually defend now, in addition to his scoring. Steph Curry has developed. So OKC, they've developed talent under their own system. So I mean, you look at these franchises out there like the Sacramento Kings of the world and the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, I think it all comes down to poor talent evaluation, and then also poor talent development. I mean, that's what it all comes down to. A lot of these teams are just trying to find these quick fixes, a la the Brooklyn Nets, the New York Knicks, and look where they're at now. And they're failing to recognize the right talent, and they're failing to develop that talent. I think San Antonio, Golden State, I love that they're excelling at that the way they are, because they're showing how it's done. It all comes. It's simple. It's talent evaluation, and once you get that talent, you got to develop it. And we're seeing it with the likes of Kawhi Leonard and what Golden State's doing with that group, especially like a guy like Draymond Green. So it's just a poor lack of talent development in the NBA. That's what it all comes down to for me.
If you look at the 76ers, they won 35 games in 2011. They won 34 in 2012, 19 in 2013, 18 last year, and they're sitting at 9 right now. I understand Brett Brown has not been a part of those latter seasons that I mentioned, but even over the last few, including Sam Hinkie, I know they gave him a contract extension. They extended his deal. But when you start to look at Brett Brown, obviously he's in over his head. He's trying to coach these guys up at times, but I do see some bad basketball. I see turnovers. I see lack of focus. I see the big man in Okafor, who, even though they had to shut him down, which I thought was a smart move, never got back on defense. You know, ultimately, you got to start coaching these guys up. I'm, for one, I can't give them a free pass. I don't know what the Sixers are going to do in the offseason, to be quite honest with you. I guess their thinking is, hey, he's been loyal, he's been sticking around, he's been coaching this garbage up. But at the end of the day, when does the head coach, you start to point at the head coach and say, all right, look, man, it's 19, 18, now 9 wins. You got to be held accountable here.
No, I mean, you definitely do. I mean, the coach definitely has a part to play. And, yes, on one side, yes, you're looking at the roster. The talent level is not, let's just be honest, most of these guys, if looking for the Sixers, would they even be in the league?
They're D-leaguers.
So, yeah. Exactly. But on the other hand, you are the head coach of this team. You are responsible for developing the talent, which we were just talking about, for motivating these guys. And it just seems like the motivation factor that we saw earlier in Brown's tenure has sort of waned off. So, you know, and you got to be concerned about Brett Brown's sanity at this point. Like, how much is he willing to go through with this process, quote unquote? And even when the process is done, how much is he going to have left in the tank? Because I can imagine having to deal with this type of roster and dealing with the nonsense in that front office. So, I mean, if I'm the Sixers, for Brett Brown's sake, I would have to talk to him and say, look, do you want us to relieve you of this position? Because I can imagine it's just playing a toll on him mentally and emotionally.
Yeah, it's a great point. Last one on the Sixers with the 3 bigs with Okafor, with Noel and Embiid. I think down the road you're going to see 2 on the court. I don't know what 2 they're going to be, but do you ever suspect that they'll have a healthy Joel Embiid on the court playing when the season starts next year?
That's the $1 million question, Q. Where is he at now, training? Or like he's somewhere. But I mean, look, 2 years in the league and he's yet to step on the floor. I mean, it's devastating too, because this guy coming out of Kansas. I mean, a lot of people are high on this guy, and I think he's a great talent if healthy. I think if he does get back on the court, I think you can afford to let go of Jahlil Okafor. To be honest, I think you can. Embiid is the guy that they can say, this is who we can build our franchise around if he's healthy. and you can have a Nerlens Noel to accompany him, and you can afford to give up a Jahlil Okafor. But right now, the way it's looking for Embiid, if there's another setback this summer in the off season, I think it's over for Embiid.
I think, to be fair, because he has not stepped on the court yet, you have to deem him a bust right now.
Yeah,
right now. But you bring up a great point. What was the buzz like when Texas A&M made that comeback? By the way, what did you ever see anything like that before? I mean, to me, it just seemed like a colossal meltdown and just no wherewithal, no presence of mind by Northern Iowa late in that game.
I've never seen anything like that. I was watching one of my buddies, and I'm like, A&M is done. Like, because they were done. You look at it, it's a double-digit score. It's not that much time left, and I'm like, there's no way Northern Iowa can choke this lead away. There's no way possible. And then you see it happen, and then you see that turnover at the end that they gave up that layup, and they go into overtime. It's just, that was a complete meltdown. I've never seen anything like it. But I mean, the Aggie fans across Texas, I mean, they're buzzing right now, and this program is not really been on the national level over the last couple of years, but Coach Billy Kennedy has done a great job. He's done a great job recruiting the talent in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, which is a huge hotbed of talent nationally. He had a national top class this past off season. So, I mean, they're doing a great job of tapping into this Texas talent in the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area, and I think this program is definitely on the right course right now.
Yeah, how about the play of Caruso and House? I mean, House was quiet all game long and then came on late in the second half and then in those overtimes. I mean, A&M's they've got some shooters. What do you think about the kid from Oklahoma, Hield?
I think Hield is an amazing player. Obviously, when you're talking about the likes of Ben Simmons and Ingram, you know, the upside word is going to be used when it comes to Hield versus those guys. But I think with Hield, you got a guy from day one, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get a guy who can score the basketball. He has that innate ability to get to a spot whenever necessary. When I see him, I see sort of like a Brandon Roy type of player, a guy who's never in a rush. He's going to get the shots that he wants, and you're never going to phase him. And I like the smoothness to his game, and I think he's going to be a legitimate scorer in the NBA from day one.
Closing out, if you look at the Sweet 16 right now, I mean, again, not too many surprises, so to speak. I mean, the opening round, the upsets with the Yales, with the Arkansas Little Rocks, you know, Temple with a heartbreaker, Villanova picking up some nice wins, and Northern Iowa, we said, went from that great win to the great collapse. When you look at, I'm sure your bracket, one of them has been busted right now, but do you still have your same Final Four picks in there as well?
Listen, my bracket's shot. Let's just be honest there, Q. I had Michigan State to win it all.
There you go. Michigan State. Forgot about that. You're not the only one that had Michigan State.
But my saving grace is I still have three teams left in the Final Four. I had Carolina, Kansas, and Oregon making it as well. So that's all I'm banking on right now.
I look at guard play in the tournament and a team that has some depth, and I still look at North Carolina. I don't think Duke has the bigs, but I look at North Carolina, Indiana. I think that's a great matchup. You know, Wisconsin, they can always shoot from beyond the arc. You know, they're going to play press defense. They're going to grind you. To me, that would make a really intriguing matchup in the Elite Eight. As far as the Final Four, I mean, I'm still kind of sticking to the usual suspects. I had Kansas. I had the Ducks, believe it or not. No, I'm sorry. I had Kansas. I had Duke making the Final Four. Okay. I had I didn't have Virginia. I had UNC. I think I had coming out of, I'm looking at it real quick. Oh, I had Seton Hall making a run, and of course that was squashed when they lost to Gonzaga.
You and me both. I mean, I was buying into the Seton Hall hype after the Big East championship. You know what? I'm feeling good about this. And once again, my heart was broken in the first opening weekend of the tournament. But I think I like the way UNC's playing right now. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Kansas-UNC matchup. You're looking at Kansas, I mean, Bill Self has done a great job with that program for years. Consistency. They have strong guard play. They have a guy by the name of Perry Ellis down low. Solid post man. UNC, I mean, they're bigs. Bryce Johnson, Kennedy Meeks, and they have a solid guard in Marcus Page. Like you said, the guard play is important. UNC has that. They have the front court action going on as well. So I think UNC is a team that can definitely make a run. So right now, I would say UNC Kansas will be my pick since Michigan State let me down.